Welcome to Marketing from X to Z.
The podcast specifically created for small business owners who want practical marketing advice without the hype.
We're your hosts. This is Mike Albuquerque representing Gen X.
And this is Liz Bachman, our resident Gen Zer.
We're here to share honest insights, real-world experiences,
and tangible strategies to help your small business thrive.
Hey, Mike, do you want to start a podcast?
Let's do it. Welcome to episode 2, everyone.
Oh, God. Oh, goodness gracious.
That's just to get loose.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. So we are back with episode 2. And last time we talked a lot about like why we're starting this and the importance of marketing and strategy and that sort of thing. But I think that an important thing to talk about as well as what to do is what not to do. So we've both been in business for a little bit of time, and I know that there's a lot of lessons we've learned working with small business owners. So talking about that today, I think is going to be really interesting. So I'm excited for it.
You've learned lessons? I've just been like making the same mistakes over and over.
You know, I try not to do that, but no one's perfect. So
fair enough.
If we were gonna pick one common mistake that we see business owners make over and over and over again, like especially our new business owners, what have you seen?
Okay, so I have actually seen this quite a bit. And this is people who have different passions. They don't want to start one business. They want to start multiple businesses. and you know where I'm going with this.
I do.
Right? They see an invisible connection through all of these different ideas, which is them and their personality and their passions and their interests. And they do not look at it through the lens of who would be their potential target audience or, the customers who would be using one service and the fact that it's completely disconnected with others, right? So they often want to think of multiple businesses as one and market it as such.
Ooh, yeah, I guess I could definitely see that. So what should they do instead?
Well, so, setting up each business as, its own business. Right?
Okay.
Going through the exercises of figuring out for this business, who am I talking to, right? Who is interested in this? Where can I bring a benefit to them? And in some cases, yes, there are threads that can connect things. And typically that means like kind of niching down and providing more like concierge type services. But oftentimes, you'll have people who are want to start completely different things. I don't want to give any real world examples, but so let's say that, someone wants to be like a chiropractor and have a restaurant and they see a connection between those two because they're, maybe it's health and wellness, right?
Okay.
But that would be an unusual business and honestly a tall task to kind of like go through the process of creating that.
No, I can totally see that. I'm definitely guilty of something similar. I tried to run multiple businesses at the same time at the beginning, and it was not good. And basically what ended up happening is I was so scattered as well because I tried to make them the same thing and I just confused people. And then also just trying to start two things at the exact same time before one is actually functioning is a whole other thing that's really challenging.
Yes, I imagine. I think of it a little bit like, the spinning the plates kind of deal, right? You see like in the circus, the person spinning the plates. You got to get that first plate going, right? That's got to have like pretty good momentum in the spin before he goes and puts the second one on, right? I think it's okay to have multiple passions and multiple businesses, but get things going with the first one before you start the second one.
Yeah, we don't have to do everything at once. I think that to me also sounds a little bit like what people do with like their personal brands on social, is like people are multifaceted and they don't like to like subject themselves to being put into any sort of box. And then when you're first getting started, it can sometimes make things really complicated. Fortunately, with a personal brand, like your personality can kind of be the through line because you are your business in that sense. That's why it's a personal brand. But I think watching that online and watching lifestyle influencers and things like that do that is also contributing to that problem because, we can just do it all. And it's like you can, but like You can do it all, just not all at once.
Yes, and I think you hit the point. Like when you do see those lifetime influencers, those lifestyle, not lifetime. That's no TV channel. When you see the lifestyle influencers, they are showing different facets of their life, right? And you see that even in niche influencers, like people who are talking about different industries online, and maybe they're walking people through what they do, but you get a glimpse of their lifestyle, or maybe there's like a special interest that they develop in, but they don't start there.
Yeah.
They come to that when they develop a big enough following, then that seems to be the point where you see more things introduced.
Yeah, I also think, just like from my experience being in this space, the amount of groundwork that goes into making all of those things come across, like when you think that it's just them showing their lives and that feels natural to you, the amount of work that went into that feeling natural and not disjointed is something that we take for granted, because we get to be the consumers. We get the end product, right? Which is wonderful. But I think that compares really well to business too, because like a well-run business, you just see the final product.
Yeah.
Right? You don't see all of the mess and all of the figuring out that was behind the scenes in order to create that final product. You just see the final version.
So what's a good advice for that entrepreneur that is at the spot? Maybe they got laid off, or maybe they're at the point where they have closed down a business and they have new passions, and they got like 2 or 3 different things they're considering and they want to do them all. What do you tell them?
Well, like, I guess part of that depends on how random are they, right? Like, is there a through line or not? Because like for some people there is, and some people they're just all over the place, and both are okay. When you're looking at picking your goals, which, I'm going to do the, it depends, picking on your goals thing, but like that's super important. When you're looking at picking your goals, right? Like, so mine, I'm just going to use myself as an example for like a through line that I've created here. Cause I've got all sorts of stuff that I like, and I'm like, and they're all over the place. Like I've got the dogs, I've got the houseplants, I've got the books, I've got the business, I've got all of the things. And there's not a whole lot of like through there. Yeah. But the through line is building a life I actually like.
Okay.
And so I'm talking about building systems and like becoming the person that I want to be. And then I'm featuring those elements as a part of that story, but not as the central element itself. So when you're trying to, like, I recently created a post on LinkedIn about my foster dogs, but I didn't go, I foster dogs and therefore you should hire me for social media strategy. Like, no, that's not a good connection. So what I did instead was I created a post sharing a story about something that I learned from my foster dogs about perseverance. And so that's building up the personal brand and my core values and my morals and like what was important to me. And then using those things as an example. So I don't know if that's being a little bit too convoluted, but basically instead of trying to like tell everybody about Legos and books and houseplants, instead, well, what about my journey can be pulled from each of those things, and how can I synergize them if we're talking about a personal brand itself, which like on LinkedIn, or even if you were to do it on like Instagram, like those can help with career opportunities, especially if you're unique and you're not just plugging everything into ChatGPT and saying everything that everybody else is saying, but actually pulling from those unique elements. It's we took a little bit of a side road there, but that's actually something I absolutely love.
But that's a great point, because when you're doing it in that case, it helps add a little bit of three-dimensionality to who you are online, right? Instead of just being like, hey, Liz is all about social media and marketing and all that. You're adding a little bit of a personal touch.
Right. And I think there's a difference between a personal brand and a company brand.
Yes.
Because you're not seeing that type of content on my company brand. Now, my company brand being very organic and plants and stuff like that, that is definitely an influence from like the things I care about and what I'm interested in. Like that's just kind of how I am being represented in that in a lot of ways. But this is part of the reason why people end up needing to create different accounts, because you will reach a point where you do not want to be your business well, not everybody, but most of us will reach a point where you yourself are not your business. Your business is a part of you, but you are not all of it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's see here. Trying to get us back on track. My brain just whooped. All right, so let's see here. We've got, why do we think small businesses fall into this trap. So we already kind of covered that they want to do all of the things because they're interesting individuals. Like we're all interesting individuals and we like to do all of the stuff. So what about identifying that? Like, how do you catch yourself and prevent it?
I think you do what humans do. You talk to people.
Fair.
Right? I think if you start trying to explain what it is that you're trying to accomplish and you get some looks to, okay.
It might not be that they're not getting your vision. Your vision may just be a little muddy.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, wait, what?
See, and that kind of actually plays into like a common mistake I see business owners make is we don't ask for help early enough. Yeah. We try to figure it out all ourselves, like every single piece of it, whether it's operations, whether it's legal, whether it's marketing. Like we try to do it all ourselves because it is vulnerable to admit that we don't know how to do something. And so I think that is the why. Like it is uncomfortable to go, I don't know how to do this, because if it's your idea and you want to create it, then, you want to build it. But talking to people, we talked about this last time, but finding mentors, finding peers that can look at you and go, okay, and like, not, you don't want people that are going to shut you down, because those people are not helpful. But the okay and sort of commentary where we figure out what pieces of this work and what needs to be fleshed out, and that accountability, like that's super important. So that's kind of where I see some of the like avoiding of that issue, because it's just, I see it all the time where like, I'm like, okay, I think the best example of this, and this has nothing to do with marketing, but like if you're a small business owner and you're listening, like please hear this. The number of my clients who I have had to send to business planning attorneys because they thought they set up their LLC or their S Corp correctly, and they absolutely did not. And the way they find out is they get absolutely wrecked on taxes is insane. And the only reason that happened is because they didn't ask. Yeah. Like they literally, they just didn't ask. And so, and there's so many good examples of that, but that's one that I've seen like 3 times in the last month where I've had like prospects or like discovery calls, and it's come up and I've been like, well, hold on, we got to fix this first. And I can't fix it, but boy, do I have a referral for you.
Yeah. And I think it's one of those things where like it doesn't need to be that you need to get all your ducks in a row as soon as you start, because that can be something that becomes like an obstacle that's impossible to climb for someone who is starting up from the ground up. But you do need to address them like as soon as you start taking your business serious and making some money.
Yeah, and I think looking at like different sections, again, it's not like everything, like my business, I registered an LLC to start off with, and that wasn't super complicated. And then as I started to do a little bit better, I went to an attorney that I met at a networking event, and I went, hey, so when exactly is the time that I need to have this looked at? Like, what do you think about this? And the same thing happened with like when I finally went and got a CPA instead of doing my taxes myself and stuff like that. Like it's not everything needs to be buttoned up, but you will know better how to button if you surround yourself with people who have put the shirt on before. If that makes sense.
Now let's bring that to the marketing side. Yeah. Because I think there's like what I see on my end, right, doing like the branding piece for a lot of businesses is oftentimes that's one of the first things a business wants to get done, right? They're like, hey, we need to create our logo, or we need to go through like a branding exercise. Yeah. And I've actually turned back some people and said, take a second. Because I think that for some small businesses, like especially if they're bootstrapped and they're not well funded to get started, they need to figure out, they need to make sure they're viable. They need to figure out who they are, right? If they don't have an understanding of their audience, it's almost like you're not ready yet to go through a full branding exercise. Right. And like in its steps too, right? Because then when you get to the point where you're like, hey, this is actually something I want to pursue, like I want to put my all in, or I want to quit my job to do this, or, bring in partners, find investments and all that, then it becomes, I think, a lot more feasible for the business and clear as well as to what the pathway should be.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. I mean, that happens with social all the time. I have people come to me and it's like, oh, like, I want to do social media for my business. And I'm like, great. What's your business?
Yeah.
And they'll fumble through something that's not concise. Because frankly, like, most people need to have gone through like a branding service before they really invest in, or at least understand their buyer and their like buyer's journey and that sort of thing, which isn't something we always think about because social media is something that's such a big part of our lives that we just kind of assume that it's an easy next step and we just like, oh, I'll just post something. And it's like, in order to be strategic, you have to know who you are. I actually, one time, and this was kind of like maybe it was a little rude, but I think it was mostly honest, story of my biography, that like the people, I often turn people down for social media management because they're not ready for me yet. And what I mean by that is they don't have the systems and processes in place to actually be able to use me effectively. And so they're just going to get frustrated and we're both going to be mad the entire time. And we're not in business to be angry at each other. That is not an experience that anybody wants. But I think that that's very common with marketing is because marketing is like we get to do the shiny stuff.
Yeah,
we do. We get to do the
fun
shiny
stuff.
Yeah, no,
right?
I mean, it's almost like we do it for a reason or something.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. I think people are very excited when they see like their taxes done right and things like that. But it's not like the process is not fun, gathering the documents and all that. With marketing, it kind of is, right?
Yeah, no, it definitely like it's something that like when I've talked to people who are like putting together programming for business associations or for that sort of thing. Like what their people need is operations, but they're getting everything besides it because it's not cute.
Yeah.
And I think that that's like having your foundations. And again, you don't have to have every single thing buttoned up, T's crossed, I's dotted, like that sort of thing. But in order to effectively market, you need to know what you do and how you do it and how much money you have to spend and who you're doing it for. And like you do need at least a general understanding of all of those areas for it to work.
Yeah, absolutely. Do we want to talk a little bit about some of the big mistakes that we see business owners make? Because I got a couple of mine. I got at least one.
It sounds like you want to gossip and I want to hear it.
I wouldn't call it gossip. But I think in society as a whole, we see this, right? It's like the idea of like keeping up with the Joneses. And I think sometimes when people are choosing what to do with their marketing, there's a sense of that, especially if you have an idea of what the marketing industry is like, who the players are. I see a lot of people who say, hey, for my business to succeed, all that I need to do is engage with this agency. And it'll typically be like a larger agency, right? One where you look at the client list versus the business that is trying to engage with them, and you kind of realize that, oh, you're gonna get passed down to like the intern,
Oh yeah.
and not like the intern who's been there all summer, the one who just started, right?
Oh, no.
And they have the onboarding process with like the high end sales executives and all that, and then next thing you're paying top dollar and not getting the results you want.
Oh, I've actually talked now that you say that, I've talked to a lot of business owners who have been through similar things like that, where they got introduced to this company through this like top tier service. And then after they've been established, they just get handed down. And that's, I mean, it's great to have fresh talent on a team, but typically that needs to be supervised talent.
Yeah, exactly.
So no, I can see that.
And so I've seen that a lot with business owners and who'll just go through that process and maybe they got to hit their head against the wall twice because they might have thought that this was an off case. I heard someone else say that agency isn't great anymore. Let me go to the next one. And until they realize that, I think with marketing, it's a little bit like a Goldilocks. You got to find the agency that kind of matches, what you're looking for, what your goals are, and that is going to be able to invest the amount of time that your budget allows to work with you and help you grow.
Well, yeah, it's like finding that happy medium of like talent and competency versus like time and ability to personalize and understand your business. And I do think that I could definitely see the Goldilocks analogy there. That makes a lot of sense to me.
Because the flip side of that is what? It's like the people going on Fiverr and, just going to like the more production side of marketing, where it's more the order takers. It's like, I need this. Okay, I will create this, even if it doesn't make sense or there's no strategic thought behind it.
Yeah.
Right. So I think there's a time for both that and for the large agency as well. But I think those are two very common traps that I think business owners fall into. They just don't they don't explore different agencies and different marketing providers to kind of see, what are they really going to get before they get started and make that decision.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't love like price shop as the owner of an agency. I don't love price shopping, but also like you should interview multiple companies before you pick somebody that's going to be as involved with your business on a regular basis as a marketing agency is. So like you should talk to a couple of people who do websites. You should talk to a couple of people who do social. And if you've got a weird feeling in your stomach, you should listen to it. Yeah. Because it's more about your individualized experience than it is like just the prestige that comes with, you know what?
Yes, fair enough.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You said you had a couple. Do you have another one?
Well, I think it was more mentioning like the different ends of that mistake.
Gotcha.
Perhaps.
Okay. No, that makes sense.
Yeah, because on the lower contractor size, it's the not seeing the results, right?
Yeah.
And just saying, but I am getting posting on social. I do have a website. I do have a logo, but there's no strategic thought behind it. It's not connecting with their audience. Yeah. It's not, set up the right way, and it might be hurting them more than it's helping them.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. That does. Those people on the lower end are also typically the ones that say things around the lines of guarantees. Yeah. Because they don't know enough to know that they can't guarantee. Yeah. Like, I know that maybe doesn't sound awesome, but like your marketing agency can't guarantee something. I mean, they can guarantee a deliverable. Yeah. But if you have somebody who is guaranteeing they're going to make you viral on social media or something like that, the level of red flag that is just kind of astronomical.
No, you can't just hit the viral button.
Look, if anybody knows where the viral button is, could you please share? Because although we've done it a couple of times, it is not something that we can just turn on and off, unfortunately. Yeah.
Yeah, I keep looking for it. I keep refreshing. Yeah, all the apps, it doesn't show up. Mine is broken.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, it's on this, on the website side, it's a lot of, my website's up, but why aren't people coming there? Well, what are you doing to drive people there? Yeah. Right? Do you have a marketing strategy that goes beyond it? Right? It's like you have prepared, your home is all dolled up and ready for a party. You got the cups, you got the cake, you got everything there. Did you remember to invite your friends?
Did you send an invitation? No, I can definitely, that makes a lot of sense. The big ones for me have typically been that I have seen that have messed people up is doing things that are not brand safe, like on my end of stuff. Mm-hmm. Not everything you see on social media is brand safe. Yeah. And like some of your more serious professions, there's nothing wrong with having fun on social and being fun on social, because that is what it is for. You do not have to dance or do something unsafe or do something highly controversial in order to see results on social. And I think sometimes we get a little bit desperate, and so we'll do things that shouldn't happen. And then it kind of, you might get the views, you might get the recognition, but it's not the recognition that you actually want. And there's that, the saying, all publicity is good publicity, and that's not true. Yeah. That's not true on social.
So note to self, my company's LinkedIn profile is not where I should go to talk about politics, or unless that's your brand, right? I mean,
unless that is an intentional part of your brand. And also remembering that social media shares footprints. Like it shows what you did, right? So like if you like something on LinkedIn, that's actually in your feed and everybody can see it. So just know that. And Instagram's brought that back.
Okay.
I think it used to have something like that. I don't really remember fully, but now it does again, where I can see what people have commented on and liked on that I'm following and things. So, you know, it's the internet. Nothing's private. And understanding that like your business profile, like behave like a business.
Yeah. Behave like a business. Hopefully that's not too much to ask.
Yeah, of course not. Why would it be too much to ask? Let's see. What was that?
That was this one. This camera is done now.
Okay.
It's okay.
That's all right.
That's why I got the other one there.
I see that. So what about let's see.
Give me a good question, Liz.
Yeah. Okay. When you first started your business, did you run into any unexpected pitfalls?
I did. I'm trying to remember if I shared this last time we were talking, but
I think it's okay to repeat yourself.
oh, yes, it is definitely okay to repeat yourself. We talked about that too.
Yeah, we have.
So I had a lot of my eggs in the same basket of a limited amount of clients, and I had one larger client, if not solo at the time. And that client went on vacation for a month, and my revenue just dipped down, right? And I did not have like business runway. This was my first year in business, so I wasn't prepared for what had been pretty steady work to just dip because, you know, they're on vacation.
Yeah. Well, so we did talk about this a little bit in our first episode, but pulling something out that we didn't fully talk about, you just mentioned business runway. How did you figure out that that was something you needed and start developing it?
So I did hear, I did hear some advice online, right, about making sure that you have 3 to 6 months of expenses personally, right, on your personal life. Now, I did not necessarily make the connection between that and the fact that my business should also be able to pay me so that I didn't have to go into that.
Okay.
And so that was a little bit eye-opening, right? Especially as I started incurring more expenses and realizing that, oh, those things are hitting me every month, right? So if I'm not getting paid this month, it's not just that I'm not getting paid, it's that I am having to still pay for those expenses, right? So therefore, I need to build a little buffer.
Okay.
And then extrapolated, of course, when you start working with contractors and bringing people into your team and just your overhead starts increasing, you got to take that stuff a lot more serious.
Yeah. Yeah. It's very different when you and maybe a couple of like Adobe subscriptions are the only things you're paying for versus when you start becoming they're contractors, so you're not fully responsible, but partially responsible for somebody's livelihood. Like you cannot mess around with that.
Yeah. And I've always made it a point that like the people I work with get paid, and
they get paid first. Absolutely.
They get paid first.
Yeah.
Because or else you're hurting your relationship with them, and it's just kind of a crappy way to deal with people. Yeah. I feel like there's people who will say, "Hey, you get paid when I get paid," and I've been in that scenario before where that was the case, and I said yes to it, and that was dumb. Right.
Yeah. I think like. And I've done the you get paid when I get paid. Like I've done that piece as well. I don't do that anymore. I don't do that to my people. It's because that's the thing about running a business is as you start to actually run a business, you realize how much the people that you get help from that you employ or contract to are responsible for your ability to run your business. And I think it's something that sometimes gets taken for granted, maybe just a little bit, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But it's a big core value for us, especially somebody who got taken advantage of in previous jobs and like held up pieces of a business and kind of got left maybe a little hung out to dry. I refuse to do that to any of my people.
Yeah.
So, but it does make it like it means that that number that I see that I thought was like okay is not the okay number. That number is actually much higher than I thought it was, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I had I got gosh, I forget where I got it from. I think it was a course I took, but there was this Google sheet where you filled out some information about your business and where your runway was, and it would give you what it would call a worry date, right? And that was on the flip side of like people who are overthinking and still like, oh no, I don't have enough in my runway, I don't have enough, and it was like based on your expenses, based on your contractors, based on whatnot, you're good until this date, right? And of course, as you update that, you get to see that sometimes that date gets further away, sometimes it's closer, but it's also not the date that like you run out of money, right? It's the date that you're like, okay, you started going under this, and therefore, take some measures to drive a business.
Yeah, no, you want to build up business long before you get to that point, because things take time to close. People take time to make decisions, and they're not operating on your time clock. If your day to worry is in a month, but they take 2 months to make the decision, that's your problem, not theirs.
Yeah.
So
Exactly. All right, so let me ask you this, Liz. What is one thing that you wish you knew earlier in your entrepreneurial journey?
One thing that I wish I knew earlier. Something we haven't already talked about. Okay, I've kind of talked about this a little bit, but I'm going to bring it up again because 2025 has been like my systems era. And so, because before, honestly, I was like, I have all of these systems firmly in my head, and that's what we're doing, and it's all good to go. And it turned out that those systems in my head were extremely flexible and got molded to every single thing I did, even though I thought I was doing the same thing when I was not doing the same thing. So I wish that I had realized how much putting the effort in at the front end of building systems and processes for everything, for my marketing, for my ops, for everything, was going to give me the flexibility to do so much stuff, like start a podcast with you. Right? Like I never could have done this before now, because I mean, you remember I was running around like a chicken with my head cut off, like constantly. So yeah, I think that it's and that's a part of the reason why I keep referencing operations, even though this is a marketing podcast, because I see it as so essential to effectively being able to do what we're trying to do for people, to have that in place. And I just kind of figured I could outwork the need for systems, which is very, I'm never going to grow minded. So
I'm going to do things my way.
Yeah, because I am always right, and my way is the best way all the time, and they can just read my mind and they'll figure it out because it's so intuitive, because I thought of it. Which is not a thing at all. We're all unique. We all think about things different ways, and as a business owner, if you want help, which you probably will eventually, if you want help, you have to write it down and you have to think it through. And yeah, that was a huge thing for me, especially like seriously 2025 has been my like, oh, this is how systems work.
You know how I used to invoice clients when I was getting started? I followed a trick from my agency days, which was I would have like a spreadsheet printed out with like the different projects I'm working on, write down how many hours I worked on it. And I would just keep it on my desk. Right. And I did that at work, and it worked fine. I did that at home, and my dog ate it one day, and I didn't know how much to charge people for it, which led to a couple problems. Like, it's like, one, trading time for money, and two, like, I didn't have it anywhere digital, or there was no backup. It was a sheet of paper that I slid under my keyboard and it dangled off the desk one day. My dog got it, and here I was trying to like piece this thing together.
Oh my!
Yeah, dogs are great.
Love dogs. No, I mean, in that note, automating that type of stuff fabulous. Because unless I'm bringing on a new client, I don't really have to think about invoicing. Like, I mean, I check to make sure things are not like outstanding. But my systems are in place in such a way that my CRM system handles that for me. I just have to remember to put it in.
Isn't that lovely?
Yeah, and it's like one less thing to have to constantly be concerned about. And my billables have gotten better just because now something else is remembering to send them besides me, because I'm so excited to do the work that I don't really want to sit down and like email people that they owe me money.
And I love the notifications.
Yeah.
So and so just paid you. It's great.
It's like awesome. I like mine. So I have like the consulting session stuff that's through the landing page that we've talked about. And the way that works is they will literally get the link, book, pay, fill out a questionnaire, and then I get an email. And that will happen when I'm like walking my dog or like, and I'm like, this is the biggest flex. Like, this is my favorite.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm still obviously going to do the consulting session. It's not passive income, but like not having to go back and forth on email and spend half a day getting that coordinated is huge.
Doing the admin work. I mean, I used to send like, I don't want to say handmade because they were designed on the computer, but you know, invoices that I designed in Illustrator. And I would, every time I looked at it, I was like, you push that a little bit to the left. Oh, again, I got like 3 line items this time. Let me design this thing.
Oh my goodness.
And especially coming from the agency world where we do have the time to do like dumb stuff like that.
Yeah, mine is not that cute. It does have like the right colors on it for the most part, but like it works for payment, and that's the general purpose. I mean, it's branded, it's correct, and that's those are the 2 most important parts.
Yes, exactly.
Oh my goodness. Let's see. Ooh, I like this one. We talked about this last time a little bit, but I want us to avoid the answer we said last time.
Okay.
What mistakes do you often see praised as best practices, but can often harm small businesses?
Okay. I think there's 2 on the same realm as far as like, let's say websites go.
Okay.
Right. One is the DIYers who will go to, you know, your DIY platforms, your Square, Space, Wix, and whatnot. And it's not so much about the platforms. The platforms have their issues, right? They're not great for certain things. They're not great for mobile, but they're, you know, or they may have an issue with like responsiveness and how things are organized. But it's more the result that you're getting out of it if you don't know how to use that platform and if you don't know how to build content that connects with the audience.
Okay.
That is one side of it. The other one that when I read this question, I was thinking about was AI usage. Now, what I was going to say is that there's an issue with, in terms of the content getting flagged by Google. However, there's been research that came out that's shown that that is not happening currently. It was before. You had things like ChatGPT putting in hidden characters into spaces, which makes it, that was the whole thing.
Oh, I had no idea about that.
Using Unicode characters instead of a space. Visually, it looks the same, but the model identified that it was more efficient to use a Unicode character versus using a space, and therefore a digital footprint, right, of AI usage.
Well, I hate that.
Yeah.
Okay, but that's not happening anymore.
That's not happening, or that's, I don't know if it's not, it might have gotten corrected in the last update, but even if it didn't, like this research has shown that that's the case is not being made for like Google downgrading AI made content. However, you still have the other AI pitfall, which is if you're just running things off ChatGPT and everyone thinks they know how to use ChatGPT, but if you don't, if you're not prompt chaining, if you're not like, you know, testing things that you get out of there with your customers, if it's not clear, if it's not customized, you're saying the same thing everyone else is, and therefore you're not giving people reason to choose your business versus choosing the one down the street.
So I'm super excited for our AI episode, which we are going to have one. And I'm very, very, very stoked for that. My thing that I do with that, just as like a little teaser, is I do a lot of voice to text for ChatGPT and for AI so that they can hear how I talk and how I want my stuff to sound. And then I make it tell me like what they heard and like what my tone is and things like that, and then apply it to content and that sort of space, which I really, really like. But there's like, you can't just put in something like, I want a social media caption about fire trucks. Like that's not, it's not going to help you. I don't know if anybody, I don't know who sells fire trucks. I don't know how that would be.
Someone's got to sell them.
I mean, they
got fire departments all over buying them.
Yeah, but I guess fire trucks are online today.
Do you have a go-to questionnaire exercise that you recommend to help businesses assess their potential blind spots, realize their mistakes?
So not like a canned one, like not like and this is the question that all business owners like that can answer, and this will tell you if you're making a mistake. Like not like that, but the way that my stuff is structured and the way that I work with business owners, so there's a lot of the question why, like I swear I'm like a 5-year-old, why? But like, because that's what gets down to the core of a lot of the mistakes that I see small businesses make is that they can't tell you why they did a thing. They just did.
Yeah.
And it's okay to sometimes just do things. Like that's not really what I'm trying to say here. But like when you're making decisions about your marketing, when you're making decisions about what you posted, what blog post you put up, what color you chose, what like those sorts of things. And I ask you why, if you've got nothing, I kind of just sit in silence. And I wait for you to kind of, in your brain, just, she's not saying anything. Did I say something? And then they'll tell me that, and then they'll start talking and tell me where they came from. Because you can't be like, you can't do that. Like that's not good customer service, and people don't like that. I've learned. But yeah, just you need to have a reason for why you did something. For the most part, when it comes to marketing and business and just being intentional.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think the one thing that we both do that can help businesses in that sense are the audits.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I've seen you do them live, right? It's a great, because, business owners think that it's like, there's just like this, checklist that you go through where it's like, oh, if you do all these, then you're good. Right. Which kind of, but not really. Yeah. Right. I mean, there are things that you want to be cognizant of, but always, again, it kind of depends on the business goals, the business itself, the industry, and, the channel they're in, if it's social, which social, if it's a website or if it's Google, all of these different things have results. And through audits, we're able to uncover those things and say, here is what you got to be doing. Right.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things you've seen me do repeatedly is that kind of that why question in those audits, because like we've gone through and we've done, we're talking about webinars that we've done together with small business owners and helping them with their marketing. And we'll have like somebody who shows me their social media page, and the page has a montage of a bunch of different clips and has maybe some music on top, but then nothing else. And they'll talk to me about like, well, this doesn't work. And I'm like, okay, why did you choose this? Why did you do that? And once we're having that conversation, that's when I can come in and be like, okay, well, best practices are that stories have a beginning, middle, and end. So in this piece of content, what would you identify as each piece of that, and like pull that out for people? But starting with that why, so that they're not defensive and more receptive to asking questions and like the introspection for the business.
Yeah. Great point. Yeah. We've seen a lot of different things in these webinars where, and it's guidance, right? I mean, sometimes people they're trying to figure things out by themselves and they just don't know. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. You don't know what you don't know. And starting a business and doing all of this has so many pieces, and so many of them are important that, I mean, it just makes sense.
So we're getting to the wrap-up portion of today's episode. So if there is one thing that you want people to remember out of this, what is it?
Well, I think the summation of what we talked about today was really that to be to be intentional and think things through and not try to do everything at once. All right. Like, so like but all of that to me comes back to being intentional with your choices when it comes to business, and maybe slowing down and looking at what choices you're making and why.
Yeah, that's a great one. Mine is simpler. Don't use Wix.
Oh, okay, hold on. Now, this episode just got longer. What?
No, I'm kidding. I mean, it's just when it comes to like DIY tools, don't just think that you see a little video online that shows you like the quick clips of putting together a website. It's wonderful and efficient and effective, and maybe it has some built-in AI or not. Just think, if it's that easy, is it really worth it?
That's fair. I built my first website on Wix. Thank you very much, and it was horrible. But
I hope you learned something today, Liz.
Well, yeah, I learned that I'm doing a good thing paying you to run my website. What do you mean? Which is no longer Wix, to be very clear.
Nope.
And I guess we know we will never have them as a sponsor.
Well, darn. No, it's okay, Wix. Give us your Wix money.
All right. What actionable steps should our listeners take right now based on this tangible today's conversation?
All right. Go to Wix.com and delete your account. No, I'm kidding. I'm not going to stay on the Wix train.
Oh, no.
No, they're definitely not going to sponsor us.
No, and I'm okay with that.
No.
WordPress?
Yeah.
No.
I will go with this. I'll bring us back. Before jumping in and picking a partner to work with on your marketing, talk to different people. Yeah. Just have conversations, right? And figure out who matches your goals, who matches your vibes, who do you think is going to be the most helpful for your business.
I like that. I'm going to pick a slightly more niche and specific to my specialty. Look at the last 5 pieces of content you posted on whichever platform you choose, whatever your primary platform is, whether it's LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. Look at your last 5 pieces and write down why you chose to publish each one.
That's good.
And if you have great reasons, awesome. Take a look at your results and double down on that. Mm-hmm. But if you don't, it's time to take a look and think about, am I being intentional with my marketing? And see if you can, for your next 5 pieces, plan something you have a clear why for.
Hey, that's pretty solid. So I think with that, we come to a wrap in today's episode.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us. Wix, we do apologize, but not all the way. And we'll see you in our next episode.
We'll see you in the next one.